It's hard to look down on someone who is constantly trying and moving forward. Why? Because most people don't do that. You be that person. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I sincerely hope you experience what kind of a person you become when you just do it, even if it's a badly, and see the process and the result for yourself. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start badly, start now, and find your own success. How to start your success like dust. Today, I'm going to talk about how you can achieve what I call success like dust, tiny everyday wins, and how you can keep those small successes going. I will be sharing insight from one of my favorite books, Fail Fast, Fail Often, by John Krumboltz and Lion Babineux, and adding my own touch to help you achieve small successes every single day, today, tomorrow, and the day after. The author, John Krumboltz, is a top expert in career counseling. He spent his entire life researching the answer to this question. How can people break free from that feeling of being stuck and start living a life where they do what they truly want to do? The co-author is also a top expert with a degree in human development from Harvard. I am going to share their findings from a major study at Stanford University, along with my own ideas. So I hope you will remember what I shared today. It will definitely be a great help to you. The dangerous trap of not yet. Everyone, there's a certain way of thinking you should absolutely avoid. It sounds like, if I just quit this job, if I just solve this one problem, if I just move to a better place, then I finally have some peace and be able to enjoy my life. I always say, don't put off starting. Why? Because most people make excuses, telling themselves they cannot start because they are too busy or not prepared enough. The author points out something interesting. When people are unhappy, they tend to get stuck in their current, unsatisfying situation. Just like I said, people believe they can only find confidence and purpose in life after things get better. After they quit a job they hate, solve a pressing problem, or move to a nicer neighborhood. And they believe that once that happens, their current unhappiness will just disappear. So many people live with a blank look in their eyes, thinking there's no happiness for me until this problem is solved. They hold on to a not yet mindset based on the idea that they cannot enjoy life until they get past their current struggles. This not yet way of thinking is so common that almost no one ever questions it. Now, I'm going to share a few stories that show just how many opportunities this mindset blocks. You will see how many good things can happen by chance if you just let go of this way of thinking. Finding a $130 million opportunity in a terrible tasting energy bar. Alright, let's go over this one more time. We all have what I call a type C goal. This is the thing you truly want, the thing you know you will regret deeply if you don't do it, even if you don't know how to do it right now. Please remember this as we dive into a real-life example. Here's a story of a man who loved cycling and ended up earning over $130 million. Back in 1990, there was a 33-year-old man named Erickson. He was living in a garage with no heating with his dog and had no steady income. He was just trying to get by day. Living like this, he was filled with a negative thoughts and anxiety. To escape this destructive inner voice, he spent most of his time rock climbing. It was the only thing he was truly passionate about. Then he got into mountain biking because it looked fun. At the time, most mountain bikers ate energy bars to keep their strength up, but they didn't eat them for the taste. They were forcing them down. Erickson decided to enter a race, and like everyone else, he packed the 6 energy bars. About a third of the way through the race, he had already forced down 5 of them. But when he tried to eat the last one, he felt so sick that he had to stop racing. The taste and texture of energy bars back then were so bad that it was hard to eat them. So Erickson gave up on the race. On his way home, he stopped at a convenience store and brought a box of donuts. And in that moment, an idea struck him. Why cannot someone make an energy bar that's so delicious you'd want to eat 6 of them at once, just like a donut? Everyone, this was the beginning of the story of how delicious energy bars came to be. As it happened, Erickson's mother owned a small bakery. He had never been very interested in his mother's work, only visiting once in a while. But this time, instead of letting the idea slip away, he thought, what can I do about this? And suddenly, his mother's bakery came to mind. Now, you might be thinking, well, Erickson was lucky. His mom had a bakery. The conditions were perfect. I don't have anything like that. But that's not the point. The important thing is, if Erickson had just dismissed his idea, it wouldn't have mattered if he owned a bakery himself. He would have missed the opportunity because he didn't treat his idea as something silly. He was able to see opportunity right in front of him. Erickson immediately started making energy bars with his mother. He knew nothing about baking, but he just did it. He asked questions, messed up dough countless times, burned out mixer motors, and broke over 500 spatulas. But he kept going. After about 6 months, he started to see some result. He had created an energy bar made with healthy, unprocessed ingredients, but it was so delicious that you'd want to eat 10 of them. It was just like a tasty cookie. He started sharing his homemade energy bars with his friends at every race, and their reaction was incredible. Eventually, he became the founder of a Clif Bar, a nutritional energy bar company. He even turned down an offer of about $109 million to sell his company. What is your energy bar? This story shows that great opportunities are born from very ordinary, small frustrations. Let's think about the toothbrush you use every day. Most of us just grab whatever is on sale at the supermarket. Without much thought, we just pop up with it, like a better tasting energy bar. No one is truly satisfied or impressed with their toothbrush. This is where the opportunity lies. Just as Erickson asked, why aren't there better tasting energy bars? We can also ask, why cannot we use a better toothbrush at a more reasonable price? Atomy is the answer to this question. It's not just a company that sells products. It offers an opportunity to turn the everyday items we use without thinking, our bad tasting energy bars, into satisfying experiences. We try it first, and then you naturally share that great experience with others. It's just like what happens when Erickson shared his delicious energy bars with his friends. Just as Erickson had his mother's bakery, we have a well-established system called Atomy. We don't need to worry about developing products or building factories. All we have to do is start with one small thought. Maybe I should try switching. Erickson saw an opportunity in a delicious energy bar. What do you see right now? Is it just the same old toothbrush? Or is it a huge opportunity that could change the world? The simplest way to change your mind. The 3 to 1 rule. What do you think when you hear stories like this? If we only focus on what's lacking in our lives, we just repeat the same worries over and over. And when we do that, we cannot see opportunities even when they are right in front of us. It's like trying to see with your eyes covered. We think of change as something expensive and inconvenient, and we believe we have to solve our current problems first before we can start something new and be happy. But after studying countless cases at Stanford University, the author came to a different conclusion. The best way forward is not to solve the problem first, but to do something that feels right now. Imagine someone who hates their job and forces themselves to study for a certificate every night, saying, as soon as I get this, I'm quitting. They complain, it's so hard to manage my schedule. I wish there was an app for students. If a friend suggests, why don't you try making that application yourself instead of studying? They are left speechless. The thought, how could I possibly develop an app, takes over. They don't know where to start. They don't have money. So they conclude that other people's advice is useless. But that's not the point. If they had truly decided to do it, they would have seen an opportunity. So here's the key question. How do I change my way of thinking? There is a way. Psychoanalyst Barbara Fredrickson says, one way to live a genuinely happy life is to experience at least 3 positive emotions for every 1 negative emotion you feel. A positive experience doesn't have to be something big. It can be as simple as walking your dog, drinking your favorite tea, or eating a piece of chocolate. It's those small personal things that make you feel good. The key, however, is that these positive experiences need to happen regularly. It's a 3 to 1 ratio. You need at least 3 times more positive experiences than negative ones. You might wonder what this has to do with the change in your mindset. It has everything to do with it. The amazing thing about this positivity ratio is that it can create a tipping point, a dramatic moment where unexpected things suddenly happen. If your ratio drops below a certain level, you get stuck in a state of negativity, and your actions become predictable and limited. You feel burdened by any suggestion, and sometimes you might even seem spaced out. But if you get enough of those small positive experiences, you start to ride a wave of positivity. Your thinking and actions become more creative. That's how you grow and start to feel alive. Why is this so important? Think back to Erickson. He didn't start with a perfect plan to create a delicious energy bar. He didn't have a plan B or a plan C in case he failed. He was able to make that leap, a decision most people wouldn't even imagine, because he consistently kept his level of positive experiences high through his hobbies. On the other hand, the office worker who complained about his job every day and forced himself to study for something he hated felt overwhelmed by a simple suggestion to try something new. So I encourage you, try to build up more positive experiences with that 3 to 1 ratio. Both the author and I are telling you the same thing. If you do this, your thoughts and actions will change on their own. When you consistently have enough positive experiences in your daily life, you reach a kind of mental tipping point. Your whole perspective on the world changes. The limits you set for yourself naturally disappear, and you become the kind of person who says, "Let's do it." When that happens, you cannot help but be sensitive to the opportunities in front of you, and you will naturally jump in and take action. That's what it's all about. Part 4. Be a confident beginner and start badly. When you are feeling cynical and unmotivated, of course, you don't want to do anything. And do you know what's really scary about that? You start to feel like things will never get better. And while you are feeling that way, opportunities pass you by. Or you are so indifferent that you don't even notice they are gone. On this point, the author is very clear. You will feel trapped in your current life. But no matter how strong that feeling is, it doesn't matter. You can always embrace new ideas and experiences. Does your life or career feel unstable or vague? If so, the advice to invest time in something you are drawn to probably won't register. Our research team's answer to this is clear. If you are exhausted by stress or unhappy, you won't even feel like looking for a new direction in life. But be aware that as long as you decide to stick to your old habits, your situation will not improve. You might want to wait for things to get better, but if you do, even if one problem seems to be solved, another one will soon appear and make life even harder. So the answer is simple. If you want to change your life, start doing small things that you are drawn to and that make you feel good right now. Let me tell you about a woman named Madison who came to the author for help. She was planning to go to law school, but she was finding it increasingly difficult. She was so tense that her body was stiff, and you could tell just from her voice how exhausted she was. The reason she considered law school in the first place was that it seems like a promising career. A relative who was a lawyer was financially well off, and her parents encouraged her. The real problem was that she herself had a little interest or a passion for law. The only thing that made her feel good was the thought of making her parents and others proud by succeeding. But that was it. She wasn't drawn the legal work itself at all. Of course, she had some rational reasons. She was good at taking tests, so she expected to get a high score. And she thought her meticulous personality would be a good fit for analytical work. But strangely, whenever she tried to start studying, her body felt tired and her mind was filled with worry. Does this woman's story sound familiar? It's surprisingly similar to the struggles many of us face. isn't it? Trying to convince ourselves to pursue a goal that someone close to us wants, even when we are not truly passionate about it. The author puts it bluntly. Our research team immediately noticed the lack of genuine passion in her voice. The way she talked about how exciting it would be to become a lawyer sounded like someone telling a story about a date with a man she didn't like. She was reluctant to say anything bad about him, saying things like, well, he has good manners. When we pointed this out, she burst out laughing. It was as if we had hit a nerve and her inner feelings had been suppressed. When the research team asked her what she enjoyed doing, she replied, well, I haven't really done anything fun lately. She added that after coming home from work, she just felt annoyed every night, and her life was a series of boring days, except for playing online games for a short while. The team advised her to try something she had thought about doing, even just for a moment, during her high school days, and to do it for a few months. Her answer was unexpected. I wanted to try acting. As soon as she started talking about it, her voice completely changed. It became higher, she relaxed, and the person who had been so tense that her body was stiff looked like a completely different person. She immediately joined a theater group and just did it. After 3 months, she said, I want to have a job where I can be as happy and excited as I am in the theater group. Now, you might expect the story to go like this. She enjoys acting for a while, but then realizes she cannot make a living from it and ends up disappointed again. But that's not what happened. The research team's findings repeatedly emphasize that a real life begins with a series of small, seemingly unrelated actions. Madison followed the path of acting, theater group, doing something she could be excited about. And through that process, she found a completely different job that was a perfect fit for her personality and passion, even though it had nothing to do with acting. She chose a job where she could interact directly with the people, leaving behind her zombie-like office job and law studies. And here's something really important. The same zombie-like office job Madison left could be the perfect job for someone else. So you might ask, what about the hopeful expectations of a parent and family, especially in a culture where approval is so important? Here's what I will say to that. Don't forget that you have a type C goal, that thing you want to do, even if you don't know how. The people around you won't be impressed because you became a lawyer. They will be impressed when you succeed at something, no matter what it is. The path you take doesn't matter. So fail quickly and fail often. I don't usually use the word failure, but I'm using it today to make a point. There's a fascinating study mentioned in this book from Art and Fear by Ted Orland and David Baileys. It's about a ceramic class experiment. Students were divided into two groups. Group A, the quantity group. They were told they would get an A if they made 50 pots and a B if they made 40. Group B, the quality group. They were told to make just one perfect pot. One group was graded on quantity, the other on quality. So where did the best pots come from? They all came from the group that focused on quantity. The group that focused on quality made detailed plans to create one perfect piece. But some students didn't even manage to finish one pot by the end. The lesson is clear. Most people see being unprepared as a sign not to start. So they get stuck in the planning phase. But successful people look for opportunities to expose the limits of their skills and knowledge. You have to expose your limits to get to the next level. That's how you think. Search, ask, and learn, which leads to new opportunities and brings you closer to success. Your limits aren't a fixed wall. They expand. Don't think of them as a real wall. It's a fake limit that you've created and believe in yourself. In the end, it's more important to focus on learning something new quickly than on doing it perfectly. That's why the author and I are giving you the same message. Change your mindset and do it badly as quickly as possible. Just do it badly. So many great performances, works of art, and brilliant discoveries were born from the hundreds of bad attempts. Howard Schultz's Starbucks is a great example. The first Starbucks tried to imitate Italian coffee shops, with baristas wearing bow ties, opera music playing, no chairs, and even an Italian-only menu. Customer satisfaction was at rock bottom, and they received terrible reviews. Ed Catmull, the co-founder and president of Pixar, explains the bad start perfectly. Everything is a process of going from a mess to not a mess. So everyone, give yourself permission to be a mess. Write a messy first draft. Make it better in the second, and even better in the third. Take that first step with a cheerful attitude, thinking, let's see how badly I can mess this up. Whatever it is, try it for 21 days, just 3 weeks. Let me tell you about a beginner chess player named Lion. He wanted to join a club and play at a table right away. But he was terrified of embracing himself, so he practiced with an online chess program for about 2 months. When he reached level 5, he thought, okay, I am good enough to join a game now. I can show off my skills a bit. So he went to the club, and in his first match, he actually won. He was so proud of himself. But his second opponent quickly crushed his confidence. The opponent barely even looked at the chessboard, making moves effortlessly. And Lion lost in no time. He quietly left and went home. He lost the courage to go back and eventually convinced himself, I don't even like chess that much. Ryan wanted to look like an expert, not a beginner. But what if he had thought from the start, I'm just going to play as many games as I can? Things would have been completely different. If he had done that, he could have become the player who could win without even looking at the board. So everyone, whatever it is, be a confident beginner. The fear of being bad at something shows up in many disguises: laziness, jealousy, lack of focus, indecisiveness, and doubt. When people doubt themselves, they tend to stick to what they are already good at. That's why there's no change. If you start with a beginner's mindset, thinking, I'm just going to learn as quickly as I can, the possibilities are endless. And most importantly, I want you to know that no one will look down on you for this. People are not as interested in other people's lives as we think. And they don't look down on people who ask questions about things they don't know. In fact, it's hard to look down on someone who is constantly trying and moving forward. Why? Because most people don't do that. You be that person. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I sincerely hope you experience what kind of a person you become when you just do it, even if it's a badly, and see the process and the result for yourself. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start badly, start now, and find your own success. Thank you.